What's up, everybody?
Got that in my chest.
And listen, I was jamming out behind the scenes there. I love our intro.
I love it. I like that. I like that a lot.
I like it a lot.
Like it.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Where's I have that button.
Do you?
I do. Hold on. I also have my bell. I have my bell.
Oh, that was easy.
Bell, right? There it is.
Let's go.
There it is. Okay, hold on.
You got more?
There it is. Okay. Yeah, I have another one that says no. And I accidentally hit it earlier. My kids got me that one. They thought they were being cute. My kids got me that one, I think, last year. And it has different ways of saying no. And it just is a no, definitely no. It's a whole vibe. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're watching Beyond 2D. I'm one of your hosts, Jessica Dugas, and this is my fabulous co-host.
I changed it to Farron Dozier, E7 retired.
Oh.
Ooh. I know.
Why did we make that decision?
I'm having an identity crisis right now.
Oh Lord, is this what comes when you have a birthday in the 5 zeros?
Yes, I have the right now. I have the right to say what's on my mind. Think about he's just an old man. Don't worry about him.
Is that we're not gonna worry about it.
He's an old man.
This is what I have to expect when my husband turns a big 50 in a couple weeks. Is that what it is?
Welcome to the club. Yeah,
listen, guys. I'm excited because we had the first mini series of the year. We talked about love, and see Farron's face. That means he is so glad it's over. He's glad that it's over.
I made it.
But I think it was a good one for a lot of people, and we're moving into our second mini series of the year: choice versus decision. Choice versus decision. On tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about what the difference between the two are, why it matters. We're going to talk about, of course, the dictionary textbook definition, but also our personal definitions, how we process those words as well. And we want to hear from you. So if you're joining us live, I want you to go over to the comments, say hello, let us know where you're joining from. Let us know where you're joining from, and as we go along, we want to hear from you, because this is meant to be a platform for an open discussion. We want to hear your side of things. We want to hear how you're processing things. Well, of course, we'll give you our take on it, but you could take it, leave it. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have
the facts of life.
There it is. There it is.
Where's
Listen, we're acting up tonight. All right. Miss Mandy's out there already.
90s jacket on us.
I do. And that was such a good time. It was such a great decision I made to go.
We gonna see. We gonna see.
We're gonna talk about all that coming up here. So hang with us. I think let's get started with maybe talking about the textbook definition, and then we can sort of process through that as we usually do. So one of the things I do know in researching for this mini series we're going to be doing the next 4 episodes is that most people, from what I've seen and heard, use those interchangeably. interchangeably. They say choice, they say decision, they don't really care either way. And to be fair to those people, you can actually do that. The thesaurus uses decision under choice and choice under decision. So you can, but scholars, as we're going to talk about tonight, will tell you that they're two very different things. They're related. They could be cousins, but they're not siblings.
They are not siblings.
They're not siblings. So we're gonna have a whole conversation, and I made something fun for you guys actually as we're going through this series. When you go to the breakthroughshownetwork.com and you click on the button for Beyond 2D, it's going to take you to our Beyond 2D page. There's a special little graphic there that shows you the difference in choice versus decision. It'll tell you one thing under choice and then how that looks under decision. So there's a nice little graphic there for you that it's like
Sweet.
little take home little homework for you
Yes.
for you guys as we're going through this series. So
Because by the time we're done with this episode, you're gonna be rethinking life.
right. Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with choice. You want to start with choice or decision?
Yeah, let's go to choice.
Okay.
Let's go to choice.
All right. So the first thing with choice, there underneath choice, it's a noun. And it says it's an act or instance of choosing. Thanks, dictionary.com, as usual, sending us down a whole other rabbit hole. A selection, the right power or opportunity to choose. And so I love opportunity to choose. But then I had to go, because it used choosing and choose twice, I had to go look up the word choose, because we got to get a little more specific. So choose is a verb. To select from a number of possibilities, pick by preference, to prefer or decide, there it is, to want or desire.
I got to get my pen because there's some keywords right here that I need to make sure I remember.
Yes.
Okay.
So you want, let me go back. So the remember, choice was an act or instance of choosing. Selection, the right power or opportunity. Love that word, to choose. Okay. And then to choose means to select from a number of possibilities.
Perfect.
Pick by preference, to prefer or decide, to want, to desire. Yeah. Then we go under our friend the thesaurus, which is my other favorite, next to dictionary.com. That's number 2.
Thesaurus.
Number 2. These are some words that can be used with choice or as opposed to choice. Alternative, decision, distinction, election. That's interesting. Favorite, finding, judgment, opportunity, option, pick, preference, variety, vote. Some pretty couple hefty words over there.
Yeah, we're gonna need that one later.
All right. So do you want to?
Where it gets twisted.
Do you want to chat on that, or do you want me to move to decision and then we chat?
Let's chat. You want to chat on choice? Let's chat on choice for a second, since we
there.
Yeah. Okay. So bring up the first one. That's the first one. Okay. So choice, the noun, an act or instance of choosing, selection, the right, power, or opportunity to choose. The one that sticks out for me, how I use choice today, is power. Right? Because there's a difference in the choice and the decision when it comes to your experience of your power. And that's going to be one of my main focuses on why choice is such a way to have freedom to choose. Right? And so it's an act, right? So that means you're actually you're actually thinking, you're actually going through a process, right? So to make a choice, you got to go through a process to get to the space where you can select, or the right one, or the power to choose it, or which one is the best opportunity to choose. Because if you're choosing something, you got a couple of things that you're trying to figure out, right? You're trying to sort through. So it's not just a one option kind of conversation. It's where you have multiple things to try to pick from. So for me in this conversation, I'm pointing to the human experience of a choice, not the action of it. It's the human experience. And for me, that's the part that we don't pay attention to, that gets discounted, and it gets mixed up in the action versus the experience of a choice. And that's why for me, power stood out the most. Yeah,
it's interesting because I made a face every time we got to the word opportunity, because that's the word that stuck out for me. Is I think a lot of times we don't always realize that opportunity. We don't always realize that the number of choices we have. A lot of times we see things as very black and white, very yes or no, right or left, and there's any number of things in the middle. There are so many more choices that we have that I feel like we're not even really aware of a lot of times, or maybe we're not willing to be aware of. I'll just say that because we could be stubborn. We could be a little stubborn. And to be fair, I think that starts really young. I think
Mhm.
even, mama's packing your lunch and it's like, you want peanut butter and jelly or ham and cheese, which one? You pick one. That's
Yeah.
it. You don't want one,
Yeah.
guess you're not eating today. Like, that's it, right?
There goes your
um
opportunity to have lunch today, huh?
or if you're getting lunch at school, it was, you want the white milk or the chocolate milk, which one do you
Yeah.
want? That's it, you pick,
Yeah.
make your choice. And so I think, from a young age, we're kind of taught to choose something. You got to choose something, but it's often a binary choice that we don't see a lot of, like, open-endedness when it comes to choice of going, what would you choose, instead of going, do you want to choose red or blue, big or small. We don't see a lot of that open-endedness, and so I think a lot of us are missing that opportunity part of, like,
Mhm.
how many choices there actually are to choose from.
And that's why I appreciate you so much, because that opportunity word is
Mhm.
going to be a key in our whole series of how choice and decision shows up,
Right.
because opportunity and power, those are the experience
Mm,
power, and the doing is the opportunity, right? So
right.
there's it's twofold in that word. And as we go through this conversation, we're gonna demonstrate it today, how it looks
Right.
with those two.
Right.
Sure.
And I love this. I love that part, and I loved going into this part about a preference, and then also looking at some of these too. You know how many times I heard during the election season, we don't really have a choice.
Mm.
So I just
Yeah.
putting that putting
Yeah.
that on the
It all
ground. I'm
it
just
it
gonna
all
leave
it
it
all
right
fits.
there
Okay,
as we go through.
so the second one, I picked
Yeah.
possibilities,
Mm,
because when we get
right.
to the other word, we're gonna see how that other word, if you're trying to make a choice from possibilities, how the other word kills that off
Mm,
in the experience of your opportunity and your power. So that's what
right.
stood out for me. And I have to say, on the last one,
That
that
one.
one, yeah, for me, I don't see any of those that it gives me an experience to be free in my choice, to have power,
Right.
because it's an alternative, alternative, it's a decision, it's a distinction, it's an election, it's a favorite, it's a finding, it's a judgment, it's an
Wait till
opportunity.
you see the decision ones, though.
I know. That's why, I mean, I know that's why I picked this subject, because I've experienced the two different ones and how they
Mm,
show up. And
right.
for me, the way they have the choice and the alternative words, it's nothing in that gives me the space of freedom to have power,
Mm,
to vote, to have a variety. Maybe variety might,
yeah.
but it's still like you got to pick one of those varieties. So
Yeah.
I that one's hard for
Mind
me.
you, from a language perspective, this particular choice,
Mhm.
because choice can also be a verb as well, to
Yeah.
make a choice,
Mhm.
or not a, that's still a noun. I forget how it was written out, but anyway, it could be any number of things, but this particular
Goes with the
version of
noun.
choice, the noun is the
Okay.
noun one. So this is saying, as you're looking at synonyms, it is your alternative, it's your election, it's your
Got you.
vote, it's
Got
your,
you.
so
Got
these
you.
are
Okay.
still
Okay. I
looking
got
at
you.
that as a
Okay.
noun
I'm
a
good
little
with
bit.
that. Okay.
So sometimes the English language is not friendly. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna say that
At
right now.
all. At all.
By the way, Miss Brittany's out there joining us as well. So we got Mandy out there, we got Miss Brittany, and if anybody else is out there, please say hello and let us know that you are
The
here.
fellas.
And how do you guys feel about the word choice? Let us know. And we're gonna scoot over and look at decision.
Or do you use a different word? Because maybe, like you said, with
Right.
these,
Do you
um,
do you use any of these instead? Do you like
yeah,
those better?
instead of say, well, I mean, favorite. I have a favorite.
Yeah.
Um, uh, uh,
Yeah.
of
That
course, you have favorite.
favorite always makes me so uncomfortable.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of, it's very similar, because and I talked about this during the love series, I'm a very lovey person. I'm a very just um what kind of ice cream you want? All of them. Like, I love a variety because in my mind, I'm like, I would pick them all. You know? And
That's why I
so
do rainbow sherbet.
there you go. So favorite is a tough one for me. I mean, I'm quick to go, you know, purple's my favorite color. I mean, we can kind of see the purple's my
Right.
favorite color.
Right.
But then I'll put on like a pink shirt and I'll be like, I kind of like pink, you know, or I like black today. Like, you know, it's really, I'm
Yeah.
special is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Welcome to our world. At least you
All
can
right.
admit it.
True. All right. Let's talk about
Oh
decision.
yeah, decision,
Let's talk
baby.
about decision. The noun of the decision, because we started with the noun of choice first. The Again, dictionary, we love it. The act or process of deciding. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Deciding, determination as of a
Mhm.
question or doubt
Mhm.
by making a judgment.
Mhm.
There's that word again, which is
Mhm.
really interesting because we've talked about judgment on the show
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
The next, so then I said, okay, well then what does decide mean? The verb, because they didn't break it down for us.
That's the one.
To solve or conclude. And conclude to me means end, like done,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
question, controversy, or struggle by giving victory to one side. To
Ooh-wee.
determine or settle.
Ooh-wee.
Settle, finish, that's it.
Done
Okay.
deal, baby. Stuck.
Then we look at the synonyms for decision. And again, this is the noun of decision,
Mhm.
the thing, accord, agreement, arrangement, choice. So there I told you that they both show up under each other, but we're talking about different things here.
Mhm.
Compromise, determination, finding, judgment. There it is again.
Mhm.
Opinion, outcome,
Mm.
resolution, result, ruling, selection, settlement, verdict.
I think this is gonna be my favorite episode of all time.
Even more than like communication.
Oh yes, because this is the key to communication.
I
This
mean,
is the key. This is the key.
when we talk about on this show, who are you being?
Mm.
Who do you be? I mean, I think this is an interesting little twist into that
Oh,
part
it's
of it. So
perfect.
let's go back. Let's
Okay.
hear about the decision, the noun, the
So
act or process of
yeah,
deciding.
definitely. It takes you right into deciding, which we're gonna go to next. But judgment, you pointed out judgment keeps showing up again, and we're gonna get into that from sure today of why that word is in there
Right.
so many times. But yeah, so you got to go to deciding to get a better
Yep.
understanding of that, right? Boom, right there. To solve or conclude.
Mm.
See a question, controversy, struggle. This is why some cases of making a decision in the wrong reason can cause the controversy and the struggle,
Yeah.
right? And that's the key words right there for me is the controversy and struggle on what decide does. And I'm going to say this to set the tone. If you look at the word decide and the IDE that derives from other words are like what? Right? To conclude, to solve, controversy, struggle. So you have other words with IDE, pesticide, genocide, homicide, suicide. All those kill off when you decide. So we're going to get into this as we have our discussions, but this is why decide is such a powerful word that if you don't use it in the correct context or for the correct reasons of what you're trying to get to as an answer or a choice or a decision, you can be stuck in your decisions and you will defend them till death because deciding kills off possibilities and not
The
just the action but the experience. I'm talking about the experience of who you're being
mm,
in that decision, in deciding. It kills off genocide, homicide, suicide, pesticide. All those kill off.
mm.
and that can kill off your reason, and then you defend that reason
Right.
till death.
Right. Um, the word history of decide said the word was first recorded in 1350 between 1350 and 1400. It was Middle English from Middle French to from originally from Latin, which literally the Latin word literally meant to cut off,
Mhm.
and it's equivalent to d and combining with the other part of the word, which means to strike or cut down.
Yes, and that's why in the human experience, deciding is such a challenging word when we use that word to describe our life,
Mhm.
to do something in life with all the reasons why. And so we'll, like I said, we'll get into that, but that's the main part I want people to take away from this episode is that choice in deciding it it's you want to make sure you're making a decision. That's all I'm
Oh,
saying.
right. I want to go back for just a moment because
Yeah.
I want to talk. I didn't mention the origin of choose because this is going to be the deciding factor.
Is it the deciding factor? Okay, let's go.
The origin of the word choose was recorded well before decide. First of all, like over 500 years before the word decide. Recorded again, Middle English, Old English, and Old High German, akin to Greek and Latin. And
Mhm.
both the Greek and Latin mean to enjoy and to taste.
Yes.
So isn't that interesting, boys and girls in class today?
Yes.
That the original of the other means to, that's it, cut off,
Cut
it,
off.
done.
Done.
To choose means to enjoy,
Joy.
to taste, to have a pleasure.
Yes.
Isn't that a
Possi
different
It's had
experience, you guys?
That's
I
what
want to hear from you
possibilities
guys
are.
out in the audience because
Possibilities.
isn't
Power.
it, that's what I love about, I've talked about before, being a person, I love new beginnings. I love anything that symbolizes a new beginning. I like a new year, I like a birthday, I love a Monday, I love a morning, anything that symbolizes a new beginning. I've just always sort of been that way. But it's because it's this, because of the possibilities that could
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
you know um
It's a new day.
I like a beginning more than I like an ending. you know and so I don't find myself using the word decide a whole lot. I tried to I mean, I've used it purposely a lot in this episode because I'm trying to
Right.
be funny here.
Right.
But in every day I was trying to think to myself, what do you use more? And it's really choice. My business card used to say, joy is your choice.
It is because there's freedom and power and
Mm,
possibility and choice when you decide.
yeah.
And so we're gonna go through. Like I said, I don't want to go too far ahead, but this is why to me when I learned this in my personal development, the freedom that I got from understanding how powerful our languages and our words are powerful. And this is one of the best examples that shows how powerful our words are. So when you say these and you use these, there's an experience that comes with them.
Right. Right.
And you can cut off or you can have
Right.
freedom and power.
Right.
Yeah. Such
Yeah.
a great mm,
I can
mm.
think of times when my husband would be like, would you just decide where you want to go already? And maybe if he said, would you just make a choice, it would feel better. To me.
So jokingly, right? And I finally figured out where it came from. It came from that 8-year-old latchkey kid in
Mhm,
1978 when my
mhm,
mom told me, I'm locking the door. Lock when you come home as a latchkey kid, when you come home, lock the door. Don't go outside. Don't cook. Don't. You know, even at 55 years old today, still it's hard for me to make a choice on what to eat.
mm, yep.
And I'm like, believe me, if I could hire a chef and just cook all my meals, I would have so much freedom. But I struggle in deciding what to eat. every day.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the military, because when you go to the chow line, you got 2 or 3 choices. You got 3 choices, maybe that's it. That's it. Fast food line, or you want the dinner line. Which one? And then if you go to the fast food, you got 3 choices. You go to the dinner line, you got 3. Like, that was easier than for me to sit here and try to figure out what am I going to make for dinner tonight with all these possibilities.
There's a phrase for that called analysis paralysis.
Oh yeah, that's me.
You know that phrase?
Oh yeah.
Or decision paralysis. This term describes the state of being overwhelmed by choices.
Yes.
And the inability to make a decision, often due to overthinking, fear of making the wrong choice. Like, there's a lot of things that tie into this, you know.
That's and so when I learned the distinction between the two of these as an experience, it was like, oh, I'm learning how to make a choice with freedom, because what happens is, I don't know if this is too soon, but when you make a choice, because of there's possibilities, you can make the choice, and if it doesn't work out, then you can choose something else freely. Right. There's the freedom to choose.
Right.
But when you make a decision based off of that reason why you did it, because it's my favorite, then you cut off any other possibility to try anything else when somebody brings that to you, or even now when you realize that it didn't turn out how you wanted to do for that reason, it's difficult to make a new decision or even a choice because you're stuck.
Right.
From the reason why. And so we're going to get into the processes of getting to the point of how do you make a choice or decision, because they're very similar as well. Yeah. There's a process. The act part is what we definitely have to talk about. Right. Because that's where the challenges are. So when I think about cooking food, making dinner, when I go back through the act of it, it was like, oh, I don't even want to turn the oven on. My mama said, don't turn the oven on. So then how can I cook something? And it goes all the way back.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I have a couple different things, because I know that there's going to be some people who, like me, when we first started like looking into this topic, it can be confusing because the world uses those words interchangeably. So it can feel a little bit confusing. So I have a few things that kind of can like break it down and explain it. Yeah. And I also, want to get into more chatter about things too. I think maybe we'll take a quick break. Okay. And then when we come back, we will dive into more of, I guess, an explanation so that we can break it down further so it's understandable, because this part here that we're talking about today is going to be so important that we understand the basics. So then our next conversations, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Yes. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive further into the explanation between the two things and why it matters and all that fun stuff. So we'll be right back after this.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold, man.
I hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn, are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
Welcome back to Beyond 2D. Today is April 8th, 2025. And we have just started our new mini-series for this season 3 about choice versus decision. Before the break, we broke down the dictionary definitions. We broke down the origins of the words. We broke down the synonyms of the words. It's been a fun time. So we would love for you to continue to chime in. By the way, over on IG, we have William Plons joining us from Ghana.
What up,
Good
Ghana?
to see you this morning, it's almost morning for you there, William. And then Miss Danielle has joined us over on the YouTube. Good to see you, my friend. So I want to
I want to just make sure when the context of this conversation is from an experience of life and from an activity. So I want you to be able to listen when you're listening to our conversation, the experience of it, but also the activity. We know the activity because we use the words already. My view of this Beyond 2D is to experience the word as in your life, as it applied to your life, because it's different than the activity. I get stuck in the activity, which causes the experience of anxiety or nervousness.
Yeah.
But it's who we get to be first before we do the activity is where I'm saying that the freedom is to do that. Is to be that. So the context for me is the experience of life and then the activity of life. We already do it, but let's talk about the experience of a choice and a decision.
Right.
From my Beyond 2D side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to evaluate, like we do at the start of each series, what the words mean historically, what they mean to the general public. But it's also really important to do like we do on this show, to go beyond 2D and go, okay, what's my relationship to the word? How have because we put our own definitions on stuff all the time. Every word we put our own, every experience, every person, we put our own stuff on everything. And so I think it's important to take the time to go down the rabbit hole, and you get an hour to do that twice a month with us here.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. All right. So there's a few thoughts that I have written down. They're a little bit longer, so they're going to scroll for you guys, but it's going to help us. If you're still over there kind of struggling between, don't they mean the same thing? This is going to help a little bit. Yeah. So this first one, while often used interchangeably, a choice is a selection from a set of options, while a decision is a conclusion, and this breaks it down, or a resolution reached after consideration, often involving weighing options and our favorite thing, their potential consequences.
We're gonna do that show too.
That's it. And I'm actually really excited because my kids have started, after I've said this a million times, we talk about choices a lot in this house. And when we talk about choices, I'm like, you can do whatever you want. But the question is, are you okay with the consequences of that choice?
Exactly.
And so I caught my oldest daughter saying it the other day. My son said something, and Nina was like, well, you can, but it doesn't mean it's without consequence. So there's that.
And this is a beautiful part, because when we get, hopefully by the end of this series, you will be able to distinctively tell the difference between the choice and the decision, and how you talk about it. Because as you say, in the consequences aren't really in choices. The consequences are in the decisions, because there are sometimes we do things for a reason, and then we don't expect it to turn out a particular way because of the reason why we did it, and then that unforeseen consequence throws us off, and then now I'm stuck in that decision because I've killed off any other possibility to do anything else. But the freedom in the choice is, oh, I chose that, it didn't work out. Well, let me go choose something else, right? With freedom and power
Yes.
and the juiciness that you said, it's like, oh, I could just, oh, it didn't work out that way. Well, let me go choose this. And I'm not defending anything because I didn't choose it for a reason. Let that scroll back because there's a key part that where it says interchangeable, the choice of selection, opinions, while the decision, right? So they both of them have considerations in them because we're doing it for a reason.
Right.
So those are the considerations. So you got to be able to figure out all the different considerations and what's possible if you make that decision or choice.
Right.
So you have to use both, require the same process to make that choice or decision, but the choice is freedom to choose it with possibility.
Right.
Deciding has considerations and it has
Consequences.
consequences. So that's the difference, and that's why I'm saying when you experience that, those are two different experiences of yourself in that process.
Right.
And
I love this next breakdown here because this I love this.
Yeah.
Choice connects us to our desired intentions, values, and beliefs. Decisions are connected to places of behavior, performance, and consequences. In other words, our choices are connected to reasons and decisions are connected to causes. So that's a really interesting one as well. A little breakdown.
Beautiful. Yeah. So again, put your life in this conversation and experience it to have a choice in what you value and you believe in versus deciding something because of how you feel about it or a performance from it, and then the consequence if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out. So when you make a choice, it's always going to be toward your beliefs.
Right.
But a decision is, again, it could be connected to your behavior or how I feel. I did this because I felt like this. And then what happens if you get caught by the police or so something happens or you get shot or you get stabbed, like whatever that is, you didn't, that was an unforeseen consequence.
Right.
You know, our community, we blame the police for a lot of our stuff that happened to us, but we put ourselves in them situations and not looking at the consequences. I'm gonna drive my car to the store with expired tags, or I got no license. I'm gonna run to the store real quick, and then I get zapped by the police, and now it's why you stopping me.
Right.
Like that's a decision that you made, and now here's an unforeseen consequence that possibly now your car gonna get towed.
Right. Yep. All right, final one I have here, and I love this too because sometimes there might be a chicken and egg question when it comes to choice versus decision. So check this out. Once you've chosen, you've made a decision as to your choices. Choices come first. Decisions follow. You cannot make a decision without there first being choices, but you can have choices even without a decision.
That's the key right there.
Okay.
And that's where your possibility and freedom and power comes from.
And that's why when I use the word decision at the beginning, when you were mentioning my my 90s jacket here, when I said I decided to go to 90s Con because it's past. I did decide I went. Right. I made a choice initially to buy the ticket, put it on my calendar. But then I decided to actually go. So that
you still could have stayed home after you bought the tickets.
Right. 100%. That was a choice.
I felt like that this past weekend. I was like, oh, do I really want to go? But I don't pay for everything.
So that's a great little example. I know some of my ambiverts, introverts out there have done that where they bought a ticket and then they went, oh God, maybe I should just stay home.
I'm telling you.
You know? So once it's happened, that's a decision that you made. That's a decide at that point. But you can always make a different choice. You can even I could have left in the middle.
Always. And that's and so in choice, there's freedom. In deciding, there's consequences. And unforeseen consequences. But it's all the same process. You gotta. So I wanted to say that, I was thinking about my conversation as I was looking at myself for the show today, and it's like before we get to a choice or decision, what's the process are we even using?
Right.
Your choice skills or your decision making process skills. Like those are things that's going to have you come up with those reasons and reasons why not.
Yeah.
Like all of that behind the scenes stuff. This is the end right here, making the choice of the decision. But what's the process that I go through? And for me, before I got understood this for myself, it was a lot of past decisions. It was a lot of stuff from the past. Oh, I like strawberry ice cream because it tastes good. It's my favorite. Well, what about vanilla? I don't like vanilla. Why not? Because I don't like it. No possibility to even try it because it's my favorite.
Right. That's why I don't like that word.
That's what I said. That's why I
don't like that word.
Even favorite kills off possibility because you're going to defend this your favorite.
Right.
So no, I don't want to try that. No, nope. That's not my nope.
Right.
There's all these restaurants we could go to, but this is my favorite. So you don't even want to try to see if you like something at the other place. Not even open. You're like closed off, and you would defend that to where an opinion comes into play, and now you're fighting, and wars are started based off these kind of conversations. Families break up and destroy relationships off of decisions and choices.
Right.
Because that opinion, for me, it's that opinion, and I'm right, and your choice is wrong, or your decision is wrong, and I'm right. And there's a whole nother emotional, which I'm sure everybody out here listening has an experience that they could relate to, where that decision has messed up a lot of things in the family.
Right.
And so the freedom in choice, there's possibility, there's peace, there's joy, there's power, there's freedom. And if it doesn't work out, you just choose something else without defending it. But there are things in life that you have to make a decision on too.
I want to. Can I quickly?
Go ahead,
no.
yeah.
Well, you want to go? You want to finish your thought first?
Well,
I interrupted.
Mine is the biggest decision that I made in my life to date is I had to decide to follow Jesus Christ.
I was just listening to that song earlier because I was, I go looking for music. Sometimes when we go to do a show, and I have decided.
I'm telling you.
To follow Jesus. Yep.
And that is a decision most recently that I had to decide because I had to kill off any other views of life that didn't fit my beliefs.
Right.
And I decided that. And like I said, there are other things in life that you make a decision, but you got to just be okay that if it doesn't turn out the way you thought it might turn out, is you're gonna have to do the work to unravel that decision to get free from it, to make another choice, or to make another decision. So that's my freedom in that. It's beautiful.
And we're gonna dive more into our next episode, by the way, is gonna be the weight of decision, the pressure, fatigue, and the cost of choosing. We're gonna talk more about those consequences after. And remember, boys and girls, if the word consequence makes you uncomfortable, consequence isn't automatically a negative. And we talked about this on the show before. Consequence is simply the result of. So don't think that your next episode is going to be, you're going to be crying and carrying. You may, I don't know, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just the result of what happens when we make those decisions and why sometimes it's very heavy and difficult to do so. So we're going to dive more into that for sure. But I was thinking, another thing I was thinking about in order to how I process things, I was trying to think of places that I've seen certain words before. And I mentioned earlier in the show about seeing or hearing during election season how many people said, well, I don't have a choice. I don't have a real choice. Right. And then I thought about also during election season when it came to election night, and there's a lot of the coverage and stuff on the news, you would see scrolling across the screen in big letters, decision 2024. So I was trying to evaluate, is that a good word? I still think the election itself is a decision word. However, how we respond to the election, who's elected, whether or not your butt is willing to get up there and run yourself, get involved in your local communities, write to your Congress people. All of these things are all choices that you have. So regardless of the decision that needed to take place during this election, you still have a whole bunch of choices. For those of you folks out there that feel like you're stuck and you didn't vote for this clown, so you're not gonna blah 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 blah. You still have choices.
Still today.
I promise you. The question is, are you gonna lean into that, or are you gonna go, well, I didn't decide this, and now you're just gonna be mad? Which one would you like to do? Which one's going to bring you the most joy? You want to grumble? Go with this one.
Yeah, because you're still making the decision not to do nothing, which is why you kill off your possibility of being free. Oh, somebody said boom.
That's it.
Boom.
She already knows. We done been down this rabbit hole.
Yes, the power of choice and decision. If you believe that words are powerful, this is one of those conversations. And how you feel and your opinion and your points of views will all come out in your choices and decisions. That's why people feel like they hit a brick wall. Like people feel like they can't make another. It's hard for me to make a decision. But why? You got to go back and see why. And as you said, we made a lot of, I made some decisions from my transformation journey in at 40 and at today at 55. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if that was a good decision or not. I'm like, ooh, now I'm rethinking some decisions that I made from 14 years ago, from 12 years ago. That unforeseen consequence showed up that I wasn't prepared for. I'm like, ooh, now am I gonna be stuck in that decision that was made 6 years ago, or am I gonna unravel it to find freedom to choose something else and move forward in my life? Right. And that's the process that we got to be willing to go through.
I can tell you, in the last, let's see, what are we at? 275 days ago, I switched from, and yes, I'm counting, decision to a choice when it comes to my physical wellness. And we're going to actually tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, beyond Project Joy Live, come watch that, because I'm going to have a girl named Stacy on, and we're going to talk about setting yourself up to fail, self-sabotage. Okay. And this is what I'm about to talk about right now is going to tie into that conversation. So make sure you come and watch 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. But I've always known that I've needed to shift my relationship to movement, to exercise, being physical, all of these things. I've always known that I needed to do it, but I am so good at setting things up so perfectly to not have to work, because deep down, I really didn't want to. And so we're going to be talking about that tomorrow morning. So I'm going to leave that part as that. However, what I did differently was switching from I'm going to get up at 7 a.m. and I'm going to exercise at 7:30 for exactly 15 minutes. I'm going to do exactly 1,000 steps. And then I'm going to do exactly this. And those were firm decisions that I had made. And there was nothing about that brought me joy. So I want you to guess how long every time I made that decision that it would last. Not long. I'll just give you spoiler alert. Okay. But when I made the choice 275 days ago to go, I'm just going to get up in the morning and I'm going to choose what my body needs in the morning. I'm going to do something. I'm going to make the decision to do something, but I'm going to choose what that looks like for me every single morning. And guess how many days now 275.
Let's go.
I have made the conscious decision every morning and the choice to go, this is what I need right now.
Yes.
As opposed to, I'm just going to decide to do this, 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 and this, and go, why isn't it working?
And that's,
You know?
that's beautiful, because that's why I don't use words like resilience. I don't use discipline, because at the heart of it, why are you doing it anyway? First of all, right? So then if you're doing it for a reason, you defend the reason, then you got to have resilience. Well, guess what? If we tell the truth as human beings, it is hard for us to keep our word to ourselves first, let alone somebody else.
Right.
But it's hard for me to keep my word to myself. Why would I put all that pressure on myself when I really don't want to do it, but I want to pretend or act like it or make a decision to do it? And then in the moment, it's like, well, I'm just going to sit here and not. And then your mind beats you up because you made that decision and you didn't do it. And now you're defending yourself and you're beating up yourself. And we talk about depression and anxiety, and all these things come from how we think about life and look at life and experience life.
Right.
And just the way we talk could be our own trap. And I discovered that for myself. That's why I don't use certain words anymore.
Right.
Or I get a dictionary to find the best word that describes how I'm feeling in the moment, instead of just saying random words that I learned from my environment that don't serve me no more today. Some of the words we use don't serve us today anymore. There's a whole dictionary. There's a thesaurus. You can find words that give you power.
we know dictionary.com and thesaurus.com are my, and sometimes it's just the energy of the word does not feel right to me anymore. And I will often, if I'm writing something, or even if I'm in conversation and I'm like, I know what I'm trying to say, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yes.
I will often go and put that word in the thesaurus.com and just be like, which one feels good to me right now?
We have to live that kind of life, conscious, because again, what are the tools you're using to make your decisions with? Right. Are you using the dictionary, a thesaurus? Are you using the Bible, or whatever your religious belief in? Are you using
somebody else's definition?
Somebody else's definition, your grandma's definition, your mama's definition that don't work no more.
Yeah.
You got to find words that give you your power, and maybe choice and decisions, you remove those and find something else. Yeah. But that's what we're talking about, from the experience of these words of communication, and all of everything we've talked about comes back to the experience of who you're being in the choice. Like I said, some decisions you got to make. Yes, you got to make a decision because you want to, this is the life that you want, and you got to decide to do that. And then you get to choose how it plays out, though. Right. Yeah. But if you're doing it for a reason, even if you do it for a reason, when I bought my basketball team, I found a previous owner who had a team and folded. So I went to him and said, hey, what had you fold your team? And he gave me all of his reasons why. And I sat there and I was like, well, I can handle that one. I can handle that one. That's a consequence. Oh, I can handle that one. But there was one that I didn't realize, that I don't think he mentioned, that I was like, when it was time to lunch, I couldn't handle it. Uh-oh. And I sat on my team because I bought my team during COVID. And there's no way in the world that I was going to be able to be comfortable having my team play during COVID, risking their lives to get sick. And that was my decision. Like, nope, I can handle everything else except for that one. I did not want to be responsible for somebody's life during that 2020, from 2021 until 2023. Right. But sometimes, as far as men, we need to get together and talk to other men who've been through life experiences to find out, hey, what happened when you did this? I say find like 5 or 10 people. If you're looking to make a decision about something, ask a group of people what their outcomes were, so you can get a sense of what happens if you make that same decision. Are you okay with those consequences? That could help you be free even in the decision. Because like I said, there's some things you got to make a decision in. But it's the reasons why you may, and if you do it for a reason, you will defend that reason until death.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not a good experience of life.
I would love for you guys to go down in the comments and let us know, are you coming away with a different mindset around these two words? How do you feel about the two words? Do you not agree? You're like, hey, you guys suck. Like, what's your thoughts about this conversation? I want you to comment down below. I also put in the comments on YouTube. If you're watching elsewhere, you'll just have to type it in yourself. But on YouTube, I put the link to our Beyond 2D page on the website because, as I said, I put a nice little graphic there for you guys. And I just want to quickly run down some of the difference here for you guys that's on this graphic. So it's like a little cheat sheet for choice versus decision here. A choice, picking what you want to eat for breakfast. A decision, committing to a new way of eating for health reasons. Okay. Now notice how it didn't say committing to eating a bowl of fruit and one piece of toast and a glass of whatever. It doesn't say that. The decision is committing to a new way of eating for health reasons. That it's more of a blanket, like this is what I'm deciding to do. Then you get a choice in that. What are you going to eat for breakfast? Okay. Choice, selecting a book from a shelf. Decision, dedicating time each day to personal growth through reading. Okay. So you can say, I'm going to decide I want to grow personally, right? It's like your decision to be a follower of Jesus, right? But now you have choices every day that you get to do to decide, is it going to align?
Right.
Is that going to align now?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Choice, saying yes or no to a party invitation. Decision, choosing to set boundaries around social time to protect your energy. So you choose to set it to protect your energy, but then how are you going to implement that? Now your choice is yes, no, maybe. What's your answer going to be?
I'll go for a little while or something.
Right.
I'll go ahead.
So there's several of these on that graphic. You guys can literally right click on the image. I made it for you.
I need the breakfast one. I need to study the breakfast one.
You can right click on that image on the website that I put down below and save it so that you have a little cheat sheet as we go forward in the conversation. As I mentioned, in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the weight of decision, the pressure, fatigue, the cost of choosing, the consequences. We're going to lean into that a little bit. In 4 weeks, we're going to talk about choice as empowerment. We're going to get into the woo, this feels good. That's good. That's going to be a feel good episode. Yes. Reclaiming your power to choose, guys. Reclaim. And I have a couple really good examples for that episode that I wanted so bad to mention tonight, but I did not. I made the decision to not do that. Okay.
Did you make the decision?
And in the final episode, we're going to talk about living with the outcome. Regret, growth, and the wisdom gained from the choices that we make.
You know, people are afraid of growth too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wow.
I know that's true because I have a book that is on my shelf. I have a book written by yours truly called Thriving Through Change. Talk about choices. And that book talks a lot about choices, actually, now that I think about it. And you can get it on Amazon.com, guys. Just look up Jessica Dugas. And you'll see that one along with our upcoming book that's coming out in...
Did you write another
one? On the 19th. Brand new book. Written by me and illustrated by Miss Brittany Floyd.
What?
And it's for the children.
Oh, look at that!
And it's called "There Will Be Hugs." I'm very excited. This is the proof copy. That's why I've got that line there. But it's very cute, and it's meant to be a family book. This is actually makes me and Brittany blubber like babies too. So maybe some of y'all adults need a hug out there as well. But that comes out on the 19th. It would be a perfect gift for Gumbo.
You know what? As I change my little information at the bottom right there, I have been fighting to choose or decide to be an author. I've got 3 books from the Life of a Series, and I just have not chosen or decided to be an author yet.
You know that you can. Are you ready for this?
Yes,
Because
please.
I'm gonna use our little graphic here.
Please.
You can decide that you're an author. You can decide right now, I'm an author.
Mm-hmm.
And then every day you get to choose, am I going to write? What am I going to write about? What am I going to put out? But you could decide right now, and that would be okay. Because there's still so much choice
I can't
to
decide
be
that.
had.
I can't decide.
He's
that.
not there yet, boys
I'm
and
not
girls.
there yet.
He's
I'm not there, but I have the life of a 5-year-old and a life of an 8-year-old on Amazon, and I just finished the life of a 2-year-old, Disconnected with Love, and I just haven't put my foot on the author identity yet.
See, you can do it. I believe in you.
I don't believe in me though.
We're gonna work on that.
Yeah, but no, that's that. Like I said, I put my life in these conversations, so I'm maybe by the time we're done, I'll make a choice to be an author.
That's it.
And then I'll decide what I want to talk about, or decide to be an author and choose what I want to talk about.
There you go. There you go.
Either
Because
way, right?
I think that look, as much as I feel like there's been moments throughout this episode that decide has been sort of demonized a little bit.
Yeah,
and
and
I think that it's so important to say that decision is very necessary at times, and that as we talk about things like manifestation, like envisioning the life that we want, when we make these decisions, or even I'm surprised the word proclamation wasn't there, like a because that's the word I feel when I think about decide. Like, I'm making a proclamation. I'm saying this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And so when you true. Make that just the firm proclamation or decision, I am an author.
Yeah.
Great. Now what does that look like? Now you get to choose.
Part of the ingredient. That's part of the ingredients.
Right.
Because you got to make the declaration first, to then figure out the choices and decisions to fulfill in that declaration.
Chicken and egg.
Chicken and egg. So you're right. That's what we're going to talk about in other episodes. What is your current ingredients? Because you might be using some corrupted ingredients that's not helping you or allowing you to experience freedom in your life today, because you're still using old ingredients that's like outdated or just doesn't work. Corrupted. I just had a lot of corrupted language in my life that I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to use that word. I'm not busy. I don't use that word anymore because it gives me no power. There are words that give us power, and there are words that give you an experience of being defeated.
Right.
And you got to be able to pay attention to those. You got to figure that out for yourself. And our environments did the best they could to help us and get us to survive life. And they taught us words to survive those different environments and what was going on, but there might be another word that gives you your power back today.
That's it. You just have to do the work to determine what the words mean to you and why. It's like, don't just say, well, this is what it means. Don't make the decision that this is what it means. You could go, okay, I have chosen to give the word this meaning. Now, why though? Yeah. Because when you start to unravel that, why does it mean that to me?
Yeah, that reason.
When you mentioned discipline before, that's a word that I love now. I love because I always put self in front of it. And it has gone from being what decision or discipline used to feel like to me, a forced decision, where now it feels like a joyful choice.
Exactly.
I know when to hold them and fold them, as the great Kenny Rogers says. I know when I need
your money.
I know when I need to kick my own tail, and it feels good to do that, because when I do it, I get the stuff done that I need to get done, and then that feels amazing.
And your choices are fulfilled.
But for some people, that word discipline doesn't. It's a no-no.
It's a no-no.
But so you evaluate it. How do you feel about these words? So that's sort of your homework before our next episode. Is be thinking these next 2 weeks about. You could take what we say, fine. You could go look in the dictionary and the thesaurus, fine. But what does it mean to you? Give yourself some time the next 2 weeks to use those 2 words in sentences and just see how they feel, because we're not the boss of your your
No.
feelings. So you have to evaluate for you how it feels, and that's that, you know.
And what that does in your communication, because now if you know how you use words out of context, guess what your friends and family might be doing the same thing, using words out of context, which is causes all these disagreements and opinions, and now you can't even communicate because everybody's trying to say the same thing but in a different word that means something totally different
Right.
to you. So now if you know what that means to you, you can set aside your opinion. Well, why did you use that word? That's how I do my interviews when I mean, it's like, well, why do you pick all the words you could choose? Why do you choose that word? And people will tell you why they chose that word. And then you're like, oh, well, no wonder. No wonder you think like that. Well, no wonder we're having this kind of discussion because that word for you means that, which is a whole nother view for me. But I'm willing to give up my view to see what your views are without a loss of power.
Imagine if we took the time to
Mm.
ask those questions
Uh,
before we made a decision about who a person is.
Oh, what episode is that going to be in? Is that episode 4? I think that's episode
Lord.
4. I think that's episode 4 right there. Okay.
Because there is a lot of decision making happening in the world about people
Yep.
on a global level and also on a personal level. And this is why we can't have nice things,
No.
because we make the decisions without getting asking firsthand questions.
And you can't get it from a 60-second clip on Instagram either.
Right.
Can't get it.
This is the mic drop moment. And we're going to go ahead and close it out for tonight because my brain is now
I'm ready. This is my favorite.
all the way, you guys.
Oh,
Would it be, let us know in the comments if it would be helpful for you, because the next couple episodes are going to really be, they're going to be fun. I'm going to make the choice that they're going to be fun. But if you would like to have an open conversation after the episodes next time or the time after, let us know, and we'll open up the community where after the show we can have a panel discussion. Y'all can let us know in the comments if that would be helpful for you. And then we could make that choice to do that. And but we're going to be back in a couple of weeks. We're going to be back April 22nd, which is my husband's birthday.
Well, all right.
We'll be back because he's taking different days off, so it works out. It'll be fine.
I said
He'll be all right.
That's the time I said thank you.
We'll sing to him. We'll sing to
Me.
I don't know if that's a good choice or not.
That's a bad decision. That is a bad decision.
We do that on Project Joy. You'll see that on Project Joy. That's what we'll say. We sing on Project Joy. So anyway, anyway,
we need to go 5D or 6D.
Danielle's
or 7D.
like me. I want to do it. So
bring her to the stage so she can sing.
Yeah. So we may open it up. Well, you'll see it on social media. Just pay attention to the social media and our calendar, which you can find at thebreakthroughshownetwork.com. Really quick, I know we're over, but do you want to tell everybody really quick what you have coming up on the 17th for anybody that might be listening?
Yes, for sure. Again, I've been blessed and asked to speak about veterans in transition with their families. And so for those of you who may know, if you serve, you know how sometimes we move around from base to base. And so, especially with children, we teach that transition and change could be an emotional state, right? And so, but it doesn't just happen for us as veterans. It just happens in life. You know, I discovered where I had some transition periods from 2 years old and 8 years old that were really emotional, and being the new kid on the block, trying to make new friends. Also serving in the military when I was married, I realized that I would disconnect from my family about 2 weeks before I had to deploy or go somewhere to train. And so we figure that as a human being conversation, how can we help our veterans and their families stay connected and reconciliation and even some levels of self-forgiveness. And so I'm doing a talk on the Beyond 2D, on the Breakthrough Show Network's platform, April 17th. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is virtually. I believe there's
Pacific time, by the way.
Pacific time, by the way.
Pacific.
And so you can go to either farrond.com or you can go to the breakthroughshownetwork.com/farrond, and you will see the opportunity to sign up. It's free, open conversation. I believe there's about 16 seats left out of 30. And so invite your friends and family. I will open up the floor. We will have a conversation and I will share some of the key principles, things we talk about here. But really, what is that transition and change? Because what that does is it fractures our sense of belonging to our families, and then also we turn to our peers for love and acceptance. And that's all trial and error. So how do we restore the families? How do we keep that communication, connectedness, love, freedom to talk, to speak? And sometimes the emotional fracture for that child or even that adult can actually break up families and cause a lot of behavioral issues. So that is something that is important to me. Outside of my sickle cell trait talk, I've done the work in those areas the last 14 years. And so as a patient advocate, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or none of that. I'm just a patient advocate sharing my story, youth minister in training and a deacon at my church. And these are the conversations that I share. And so being asked to have this topic is most important because I want to help those who are willing, again, to restore their relationships, especially with your family first. So that's the beauty of that. And Jessica, I didn't want a boring Zoom virtual conversation. So I was like, bing, Beyond 2D, we do the show there. She's got a whole platform. Let's make it, environmental friendly and people can be in their homes and not try to make it to one location in person. Now it's open to, people, you can be wherever you are on the planet and have a conversation and listen in and ask questions and be interactive. And I didn't want it public, so it is private because I want people to be able to speak freely and not think that because you're on YouTube or something that this is a show. No, this is very important. And we want people to have the freedom to ask questions, get some insights, and maybe self-discover who you need to be to restore that family operation and to restore your family with your children. Very important.
This is a private event. It is not being broadcast. It is in the virtual community in a locked room, and people aren't going to be able to just come in and everything else. And so, say again who specifically this is for, like veterans and their families.
It's definitely based around veterans. So even if you was a child of a veteran, even if you're a sibling of a veteran, these conversations are for you because if you're connected to a veteran, these are the conversations that you may not have been aware of why there's been some, again, broken communication or behavior adjustment, especially with our children. We teach from middle school, elementary to middle school that transition can be difficult. We laughed at when we dropped that child off to kindergarten, right? And how they cry when you drop them off in kindergarten. Guess what? It's no different than you moving to another state and having to uproot from your friends that you've grown up with for the last 3 years, and now you got to go move somewhere else. Like those are all the things that we talk about, but it's designed and dedicated for veterans because I'm a veteran, but anyone is more than welcome because at the end of the day, this is the relatedness that we get to create for our community. So
love it. So for anyone, and obviously Farron is a veteran. There will be other veterans there, most likely, or their families. And so that will be a theme, but you don't have to be a veteran in order to come. And so you can get your tickets at thebreakthroughshownetwork.com/FarronD. It is there, and it's a free event.
Yeah.
So no excuse. Make the decision.
Yeah, make it. No, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I did the first one in person in Paris, California, and it was perfect for me because guess what? As the first one, I got freedom from my own talk. Engaging.
Isn't that
something?
best?
Isn't that the best? We're engaging with these ladies that came there, sharing my story and them asking me questions. Each one of those ladies represented an aspect of my life that I was able to be free from by telling the truth to myself in those conversations. And so here we are. Now it's virtually, so you can be anywhere on the planet.
Love it.
So thank you, Jessica, for housing that and hosting that with me.
It's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a good time. It's late. It's late
Yeah.
for me, you know. I'm
Well,
usually
sometimes it's early for me.
with my Darth Vader CPAP mask on by that time. So I was thinking I could come in costume, you know. But it'll be great. It'll be great. Listen, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight for this first part of our choice versus decision series. Tonight we talked about what's the difference between the two and why it matters. So this is a great foundation. Share this episode with your family and friends. Get them to come back. In 2 weeks, as I said, we're going to be back on April the 22nd, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time to continue this conversation. And we thank you for being here. I'm Jessica Dugas. This is Farron Dozier.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.